these like giant pots of chili coming in this thing. It's like, all right, all right. It's more than just, this couple stand overnight and I'm like, all right. So I wanted to take a nap. So anyway, he got used to it. It was funny. It was good. It was very good. I was surprised part of the bonus went out right after. It was Friday the 13th was his birthday.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Gary Common Council regular scheduled meeting, September the 17th, 2019, within the 6 p.m. hour. I will ask everyone that can and will please stand for the prayer and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Moore will lead us in our prayer this evening.
Our Heavenly Father, we cherish this moment in which we can give faithful and honest praise to the Creator of the heavens and the earth. There's no better time that can be spent than to give praise and honor to the true and living God. It is because of your mercy, it is because of your grace that we yet exist to witness the beauty of your creation. That is why we say thank you for blessing us with another opportunity to do great works in serving you and our fellow man. We pray that this time that you have allotted us to address the business of this city will be used wisely so that improvements and stability will be made financially and that living conditions will be bettered for the citizens of this city. We ask your blessings upon those families who grieve the loss of loved ones, that your abundant blessings and comfort and peace will be upon them. In the mighty and gracious name of Jesus Christ our Lord, we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, we got a flag finally. It's a little embarrassing.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
We're usually late.
Councilwoman Brown.
Present.
Councilman Brown.
Present. Good evening.
Councilwoman Caldwell.
Present.
Councilman Proko.
Here.
Councilwoman Rogers. Councilman Smith.
Here.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade.
Here.
Councilwoman Wyatt.
Present.
And President Brewer.
Here.
Mr. President, there are 8 present and absent.
With 8 present, 1 absent, we do have a quorum to conduct the business of the city of Gary. Council pending ordinance and resolution on first reading.
CPO 2019-56, an ordinance approving the amended and restated local agreement between the City of Gary and Majestic Star Casino, LLC, and the Majestic Star Casino 2, LLC. Sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller.
Finance.
CPO 2019-57, an ordinance appropriating monies for the purpose of defraying the expenses of general parks, COI, seated CCL MVH, LRS, fire pension and police pension tax-based funds of the City of Gary, Indiana for the fiscal year beginning January the 1st, 2020, ending December 31st, 2020, including all outstanding claims and obligations, and for the time the same shall take effect. Sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller.
Finance.
CPO 2019-58, an ordinance approving salaries for employees of the City of Gary's General Parks, COI, MVH, pension and fire tax-based funds for the calendar year 2020. Sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller.
Finance.
CPO 2019-59, an ordinance appropriating monies for the purpose of defraying expenses of the Gary Chicago International Airport tax-based funds of the City of Gary, Indiana for the fiscal year beginning January the 1st, 2020, ending December 31st, 2020, including all outstanding claims and obligations, and fixing the time when same shall take effect. Sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller, Dwayne Hayden, Gary Chicago Airport Director.
Finance.
CPO 2019-60, an ordinance appropriating monies for the purpose of defraying expenses of the City of Gary Public Transportation Corporation of the City of Gary, Indiana for the fiscal year beginning January the 1st, 2020, ending December 31st, 2020, including all outstanding claims and obligations, and fixing a time and same shall take effect. Sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller, Lone Parker, GPTC Director.
Finance.
CPO 2019-61, an ordinance revising the 2019 appropriations for the general salary and operating budgets for the fiscal year beginning January the 1st, 2019, ending December 31st, 2019. Sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller.
Finance.
Mr. President, ends the assignment of pending ordinances and resolutions.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Brown.
Finance Committee has before it CPO 2019-56. For the record, I approve this ordinance for reporting out to the council. Councilwoman Caldwell
Yes.
and Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Mr. President, majority of the Finance Committee has approved CPO 2019-56 for reporting out to the council. Finance Committee has before it CPO 2019-57. For the record, I approve this ordinance for reporting out to the council. Councilwoman Caldwell
Yes.
and Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Mr. President, a majority of the Finance Committee has approved CPO 2019-57 for reporting out to the council. Finance Committee has before it CPO 2019-58. For the record, I approve this ordinance for reporting out to the council. Councilwoman Caldwell
Yes.
and Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Mr. President, a majority of the Finance Committee has approved CPO 2019-58 for reporting out to the council. Finance Committee has before it CPO 2019-59. For the record, I approve this ordinance for reporting out to the council. Councilwoman Caldwell
Yes.
and Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Mr. President, a majority of the Finance Committee has approved CPO 2019-59 for reporting out to the council. Finance Committee has before it CPO 2019-60. For the record, I approve this ordinance for reporting out to the council. Councilwoman Caldwell
Yes.
and Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Mr. President, a majority of the Finance Committee has approved CPO 2019-60 for reporting out to the council. Finance Committee has before it CPO 2019-61. For the record, I approve this ordinance for reporting out to the council. Councilwoman Caldwell
Yes.
and Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Mr. President, a majority of the Finance Committee has approved CPO 2019-61 for reporting out to the council. Mr. President, Finance Committee would like to report out CPO 2019-56, 57, 58, 59, 60, and 61.
Thank you, Councilman Brown. At this time, special and select, any council member at this time? Okay, moving right on.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Caldwell.
the Gary International Black Film Festival will take place October the 11th through the 13th at the Savannah Hall at Indiana University Northwest. For more information, you can go to GaryBlackFilmFest.com.
What, she's looking for it.
No, I'm done. Go ahead, I'm done.
Oh, you're done?
I guess.
That's one, two.
Mr. President, I'd just like to take this opportunity to...
Councilman Brown, can you pull your mic up a little bit? And
Sure.
so I can hear in the back? Thank you.
You can't hear me? I thought with this big mouth, everybody could hear me. But anyway, Mr. President, I'd like to take this opportunity to extend my sincerest condolences to the family of Mr. James Dungy, who was funeralized this past week, and to Carol Cody and to their families.
Anyone else? I'd like to echo my sentiments also with Councilwoman Brown with the condolences, and to Markel Watkins in the loss of his sister. I want to send our condolences out to him and his family. This week, matter of fact, just Sunday, me and my mayor me and the mayor made the meeting out in Miller concerning the project that's taking place on Lake Street. And we are consistently going to continue to monitor that project very closely and having weekly meetings to take place. But what I want to do is urge the community to continue to support the businesses on Lake Street. They're going to be interrupted with traffic flow for at least 4 weeks or more with not being able to utilize Lake Street. But there's alternate routes that you still can get to the businesses. So what I'm making an appeal to is, and this is nothing different from what happens downtown Valparaiso and any other community when major work and improvements have to happen, these things have to take place if you want to see the improvements happen. But I'm urging the citizens to continue to support businesses on Lake Street. Maybe you say, I never have went down there to support. This is your time now because they need our support in this time here. So I'm urging this community to support the businesses on Lake Street and the time of construction that's taking place. It's going to be beautiful once everything is done, but the hardship that they're going to have to go through and we all going to have to deal with the commute around Lake Street as the repairs are taking place, it's going to be a little difficult, but we are monitoring the progress and making sure we can get it done as fast as possible. But there is going to be a major impact to the businesses on Lake Street. That's it for me. At this time, I will go to the third and final.
CPO 2019-51, an ordinance approving salaries and operating budgets for the City of Gary's Community Development Block Grant Program, Program Year 2019, Emergency Solutions Grant, Program Year 2019, Home Program, Program Year 2019, and approving budgets for the foreclosure program, sponsored by Mayor Karen Flynn Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller, Community Development Division, Department of Commerce.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Brown.
I move for passage of CPO 2019-51 on third and final reading.
Second?
Been moved properly second.
Mr. President, I move to amend by substitution CPO 2019-51.
Second.
Been moved properly second by Councilwoman Caldwell. Roll call on the amendment.
Councilwoman Brown,
Yes.
Councilman Brown,
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell,
Yes.
Councilman Proto,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt,
Yes.
and President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote is 8-0.
With a vote 8-0, CPO 2019-51 has been amended and so ordered. Overview at this time.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council, as well as members of the public. This is our CDBG budget. As amended, the portion that has been amended out are the code enforcement officers. And the reason for that is that we want to present to you a fully amended and completely developed concept of how the code enforcement officers fit into the new concept of the building department as it relates to one-stop shop. We want it as an overall process and rather than doing a little bit at a time. I know that there was extensive conversation about that at the public meeting or at the committee meeting, and so we want to honor the concerns and address it in a comprehensive way. With that said, the CDBG budget has a number of public purposes. They have a number of nonprofit purposes, and then they have about $1.2 million in housing. The public and nonprofit is split essentially, one is $588,000, the other is a bit over $400,000. When I talk about the housing interest, it is our work that we do with the home fund. funds. Those are funds that are used to support some of the housing projects. In this instance, Miller Valentine and Broadway townhomes will come out of this CDBG budget. Other developments of that sort. In addition to that, the emergency repair work that occurs in the city, both for seniors and for others as it's outlined, comes out of CDBG dollars. Some of the sidewalk repairs, as long as they are attached to existing development. For instance, the sidewalks that were done beside the Village of Hope came from CDBG funds. In addition to that, we have nonprofits such as the Veterans Life Center and nonprofits like the work that happens, the rapid rehousing that occurs with our homeless residents that is done through, goodness, what's the organization's name? Goodness gracious.
Continuum of care.
Continuum of care. I don't know why I couldn't think about that.
Oh, okay.
But they cover housing for a year for people who are homeless. So they cover housing in the, in apartments and assist with that. In addition to that, city, and when I talk about public dollars, so the Rainbow Shelter, the actual Hudson Campbell, the work that comes as a result of our 108 loan, all of that comes out of our CDBG dollars. And I know that there have been a number of discussions about the work that has occurred, but I think that the great thing is that you see it all over the city. You see the results of the work, and so we would ask respectfully that you would pass this and move for our demolition comes out of CDBG.
Is there any questions from council members at this time?
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Wade.
Madam Mayor, what improvements should we be expecting to see from Hudson Campbell?
So you will have, actually, a lot of the improvements have occurred. So you have a totally renovated men's locker room. You have a totally renovated women's locker room. New showers, totally everything in there in the bathrooms have been redone. The floor was done over 2 years ago in the Hudson Campbell, and we've been utilizing that on the lower level. You will see a totally new entrance, and that's the last thing that's being constructed. Also, in addition to that, there is a new theme that celebrates those who have come from this community who are now pro athletes or who have been pro athletes. They will be honored in the new entryway. But a lot of the lighting, a lot of the remodeling of the lobby has already occurred. The bathrooms, the work is probably 70% complete. It is anticipated that it will be totally complete in November.
Thank you.
I would encourage council members, as Councilwoman Sparks Wade pointed out about Hudson Campbell, to take a tour of the interior thus far. It is great improvements have taken place over there, and just waiting on the finished product when they finish putting the paint on the outside.
Yeah.
Light it up.
And it will be painted on the outside.
Yes.
How could I forget that?
Oh, yeah, put some paint on it. All right, any other questions, council members? Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
At this time, public portion is now open for anyone that would like to speak for or against CPO 2019-51. You have 3 minutes to speak on this ordinance.
Yes, good evening, Mr. President, members of the council. My name is Jim Nowacki. I live in the 2nd District. Gary has been receiving community development block grant funding for over 40 years. In the name, the ordinance, the name of these are community development. And in 40 years, I would say the record of the community development block grant funding in our city has not been good. I'm I mean, I think we could take some encouragement that some of this money is going to Hudson Campbell. I think some of the money more recently has gone for the fire station in Glen Park. We borrowed from the future community development block grant money to fund some of those projects, so you know, that may be a good thing. But I would look at the document that you've got before you and see probably about 60 pages, and compare that to the community development block grant proposals made in adjacent, more successful communities. You would find that they target the money not broadly passing this out like a goodie bag for not-for-profits with questionable results, but they use community development block grant money specifically for the things that we'd be able to easily see in our communities, things like sidewalks, sidewalk replacement program. We briefly flirted with the idea of having a program to replace sidewalks in residential areas, and because of the way the bidding was put out and the lack of promotion, it was not a very successful program. But other communities use that sidewalk replacement program for great positive effect. We've dropped the ball on it. We have not been as successful as other communities, and the results are very easy to see. We've got sidewalk replacement need in every single community of this city. And instead of keeping that program targeted and funded, this money gets dissipated. I would encourage the city council to call the community development block grant, community development director to task and to make a presentation over the last 40 years how these tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars over the last 40 years have actually had a identifiable community development. Thank you.
Seeing
And
no
I would
one
urge you
else,
not to pass it.
seeing no one else, public portion now closed. Roll call, Madam
Mr.
Clerk.
President,
Councilwoman Brown.
I'd like to say something. I've been on council a long time, had an opportunity to work with Arlene Colvin from Community Development for a long time. Arlene has done a fantastic job with what she has been given. We all know how the dollars in community development have diminished over the years. They do not get the amounts of money that they used to get many years ago. And I think she's done a fantastic job. I certainly will support this and continue to support her effort because I know that she does a good job. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any other council members? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown?
Yes.
Councilman Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilman Proto?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote is 8-0.
Vote of 8-0, CPO 2019-51 has passed on third and final and so ordered. Let me just say for the record, the other part that the mayor talked about that we amended inside of this is going back to committee this Tuesday, and Councilwoman Brown would make mention of that towards her in her presentation. All right. Sorry, Madam Clerk.
CPO 2019-52, an amendment to the Gary Civil Rights Ordinance number 269, sponsored by Mayor Karen from the Wilson, Seat of Gary.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman
I
Brown.
move for passage of CPO 2019-52.
Is there a
That's
second?
yours, isn't it? I'm sorry.
Mr. President, I move for passage of CPO 2019-52 on third reading.
Second.
Is there a second? Okay, been moving properly. Second. There's amendment to
There's
this?
an amendment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. President, I move for passage of substitution of the amendment for CPO 2019-52.
Second.
Been moving properly second to amend by substitution, CPO 2019-52. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown?
Yes.
Councilman Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilman Proto?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote is 8-0.
Vote of 8-0, CPO 2019-52 has been amended. Overview at this time.
Mr. President, members of the council, first I want to address the amendment. What we did was to provide the overall civil rights ordinance so that you would see everything that we are requesting to be changed in the context of the overall ordinance. In reviewing it, we provided definitions for labor organizations and employment agencies. It also clarifies the unmentioned sections and subsections of the previous versions of the Civil Rights Ordinance. So it cleans it up in terms of the references. It removes the exclusionary language from the definition of disability as it relates to addiction, because addiction is considered a relapsing, debilitating condition and thus a disability. Also, color and ancestry in sections 2619 and 26130, which were inadvertently excluded in the previous amendment, are now added for clarity and consistency. And then the subsequent subsections included in the previous versions of section 126, 134, and it also reorganizes some of the language for clarity. Just to note that we most recently added sexual orientation, and we just wanted, what we want is for people to be able to read our civil rights ordinance and understand what coverage is available to them, what that looks like, and how they can utilize the Human Relations Commission to assist them in instances where they've been discriminated against.
Is there any questions for the mayor? Thank you, Mayor. Tonight is set aside public portion. Anyone like to speak for or against CPO 2019-52? You have 3 minutes to speak on this ordinance. Seeing none, public portion is closed. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown?
Yes.
Councilman Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilman Proto?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote is 8-0.
Vote of 8-0, CPO 2019-52, pass on third and final, and so ordered.
CPO 2019-53, an ordinance appropriating 2019 budgets for the operating expenses and salaries, grants, and special revenue funds for rental inspection program of the City of Gary for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2019, ending December 30th, 2019. Sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller.
Mr. President, I move that CPO 2019-53 be amended, move back to finance, back to the Finance Committee meeting.
Second?
Been moving properly second to move CPO 2019-53 back to the Finance Committee. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown?
Yes.
Councilman Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilman Proto?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote is 8-0.
Vote of 8-0, CPO 2019-53 has been moved back to the Finance Committee, and so ordered.
CPO 2019-54, an ordinance appropriating 2019 budgets for the operating expenses of grants and special revenue funds for Gary Police Department of the City of Gary, January 1st, 2019, ended September 30th, 2020. Sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller.
Mr. President, I move passage of CPO 2019-54 on third and final reading.
Second?
Moving properly second. Overview at this time.
Good evening again, Mr. President, members of the council. This ordinance is for the appropriation of the Justice Assistance Grant. That is a grant that is provided through the Department of Justice, Office of Justice Programs. And what happens in Lake County is that that grant goes through the Lake County Sheriff's Department, and it is shared with Gary and other communities. And this is a reimbursement grant which requires us to spend upfront, and then it allows us to be reimbursed after the spending has occurred. The spending in this budget, we have $60,000 allotted for overtime, $54,000 for vehicles, non-marked support vehicles, and $34,000 for police equipment. Just because we're talking about vehicles tonight, I will indicate to you that we are working on a proposal right now that will allow us to purchase marked police vehicles before the end of the year.
Very good. Is there any questions, council members? Thank you, Mayor.
One question.
Councilman Brown?
Yeah, Mr. President. Mayor, do you have any idea about the number of vehicles we may be able to purchase?
We don't know. We're waiting on rates because it has to do with the lease that's already in place and us being able to pay that off early.
Okay. All those will be SUVs in most cases?
I can't even say that, but likely because it appears that the QPA through the state is for those Explorers.
Explorers. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. Tonight is set aside public portion. Anyone would like to speak for or against? You have 3 minutes to speak on this ordinance. Seeing none, public portion is now closed. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown?
Yes.
Councilman Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilman Proto?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote is 8-0.
With a vote of 8-0, CPO 2019-58 is passed on third and final and so ordered.
54.
54, I'm sorry.
CPO 2019-55, an ordinance revising 2019 appropriations for the general salary budget for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2019, ending December 31st, 2019. Sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller.
Mr. President, I
Councilwoman
move
Brown.
the CPO 2019-55 be moved back to the Finance Committee.
Second.
Been moved and properly second. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown?
Yes.
Councilman Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilman Proto?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote is 8-0.
Vote of 8-0, CPO 2019-55 is moving back to committee and so ordered.
Mr. President, it's pending ordinances and resolutions on third and final.
Councilman, ordinance and resolution on second reading.
CPO 2019-56, an ordinance approving the amended and restated local agreement between the City of Gary and Majestic Star Casino LLC and Majestic Star Casino 2 LLC, sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller.
Mr. President, I move for passage of CPO 2019-56 on second reading. Finance Committee meeting on Tuesday, September 24th at 5 o'clock. And a public hearing on October 1st, is that?
Yes, October 1st.
October 1st, yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Smith. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown?
Yes.
Councilman Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilman Proto?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote is 8-0.
Vote of 8-0, CPO 2019-56 is moving to the Finance Committee September the 24th at 5 p.m. and a public hearing October 1st. Madam Clerk, can we do them all at one time and do one vote if there's no objection from anyone? Thank you.
CPO 2019-57, an ordinance appropriating monies for the purpose of deferring expenses of the General Parks Kuwait CCL, MVH, LRS, fire pension, police pension, tax-based funds of the City of Gary, Indiana for the fiscal year beginning January the 1st, 2020, and ending December 31st, 2020, including all outstanding claims and obligations, and fixing a time the same shall take effect. Sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller. CPO 2019-58, an ordinance approving salaries for the employees of the City of Gary's General Park Kuwait MVH pension and fire tax-based funds for the calendar year 2020, sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller. CPO 2019-59, an ordinance appropriating monies for the purpose of deferring expenses of the Gary-Chicago International Airport tax-based funds of the City of Gary, Indiana, for the fiscal year beginning January the 1st, 2020, ending December 31st, 2020, including all outstanding claims and obligations, and fixing any time the same shall take effect. Sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller, Dwayne Hayden, Gary, Chicago Airport Director. CPO 2019-60, an ordinance appropriating monies for the purpose of deferring expenses of the City of Gary Public Transportation Corporation of the City of Gary, Indiana for the fiscal year beginning January the 1st, 2020, ending December 31st, 2020, including all outstanding claims and obligations, and fixing a time the same shall take effect. Sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller, Jerome Parker, GPTC Director. CPO 2019-61, an ordinance revising the 2019 appropriations for the general salary and operating budgets for the fiscal year beginning January the 1st, 2019, ending December 31st, 2019. Sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller.
Mr. President,
Councilman Brown?
I move that CPO 2019-57, 58, 59, 60, and 61 be approved on second reading. Finance Committee meeting on Tuesday, September 24th at 5:30 p.m.
Second.
Been moving properly second by Councilman Smith. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown,
Yes.
Councilman Brown,
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell,
Yes.
Councilman Proto,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt,
Yes.
President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote is 8-0.
Vote of 8-0, CPO 2019-57, 58, 59, 60, and 61 is moving to the Finance Committee September the 24th at 5:30 p.m. and a public hearing October 1st at 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Mr. President, entertaining ordinances and resolutions on the second reading.
Thank you.
Mr. President, can I get some clarification in regards to finance meeting? Are we gonna start at 5 o'clock for the first one? We're gonna do 5 o'clock the first one? Or 5:30?
I didn't hear.
She's asking for clarification on the finance meeting because
Okay.
the first one you gave 5
Right,
o'clock and then
right. We have 2019-56, 2019-53, and 2019-55. I have wanted to do those at 5 o'clock and do the rest of them at 5:30, even though we have a schedule that says starting at 5 o'clock.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And also, 51 is going back to finance, is that right? Yeah, 51, and also 53 is going back to.
No, 51 is passed.
51 and 53.
No, 51.
53 and 55.
Yes,
53 and 55. Aren't-
55. We passed.
Those are going back to finance.
okay, yes. Okay,
Right.
all right.
Okay.
Let me make sure, okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, they amended 51, am I right?
Right, so
we
they
passed-
amended 51.
Right. We only passed the part that was amended. The other part was taken out, am I right?
Right.
Okay, so clear.
So that's a discussion that we're gonna have in finance.
Yes.
Wasn't 51 CDBG?
Yes.
We took out.
We took out that portion, that was the amendment, was, we took out that portion.
So,
But the rest of the budget we passed, all
Right,
right? Okay. that's-
yes, yes.
Okay, we on the same page.
Okay, so just letting the public know, we are going to discuss that in finance.
Okay.
Yes. We good?
yeah, Mr. Chair, could there be some clarity as to what part of 51, if it's not too much, that we kind of took out so people will be a little more clear, so they don't think we passed something that we didn't.
So-
Mr. Chair.
So the part that was taken out of 51 was the whole code enforcement was taken out. That was the part that was taken out. That's what we're taking back to committee. Yes. And also, papers here, 53, we deferred that portion, talking about the rental inspection, that was deferred back to committee also. So those
Right.
two was our conversation that we had, and we deferred those back to committee. Yes. Yeah, good. At this time, we will have the mayor's report at this time.
Good evening again. I wanted to first add my condolences to Carol Cody and the entire family of James Dungy. Mr. Dungy was a longtime friend, and the thing that I appreciated from him was that he would always dig up pictures of my mom and another mutual friend of theirs. And so because of him, I have a lot of old pictures that I would not otherwise have. So I just want to express my condolences, and was really disappointed that I could not share in his homegoing celebration. In addition, I want to offer my condolences to the family of Markel Watkins on the passing of his sister, as well as to the families of our own Lieutenant Lawrence Wright. Those of you who knew Lieutenant Wright knew that he was extremely passionate about youth and youth activities, was also instrumental in the Coffee Annual Youth Anti-Violence Conference every year. And so I want to give condolences to his wife and his entire family, to our own Health Department employee, James Shelby, in the passing of his brother Kevin, to the family of Joy Holliday, also a city employee who lost her grandmother, Ms. Bertha Macklin, and then to former city employee, Ms. Mary Hurt, as her mother passed this past Saturday, and will be funeralized this Saturday. So condolences to all of them. Wanted to just share with, and President Brewer has talked a bit about our meeting that was held on Sunday evening at 5 o'clock at Marquette relative to the Lake Street improvements. And just want to, first remind folks that these are improvements. As much heartburn as the construction has created, we know that the end product is going to be an improvement for everyone in the city, particularly those who have businesses on Lake Street. But it doesn't make it any less of a headache, quite frankly. And part of it, I think, has been created by the cavalier approach that some of our contractors has taken, and that's why I thought it was really, really important for them to be at the meeting and hear from the public and understand the importance of the work that they're doing and the importance that they pay attention to every detail. I will tell you that we are set to have a meeting every Thursday at 6:30 at the Revolution Church on Lake Street to keep the public informed. And our first meeting will be this coming Thursday at 6:30, and I would invite not just business owners, but members of the public to come out and hear about the progress. We are going to be passing out schedules to all of the businesses on Lake Street. We are also working to secure a parking lot that is privately owned, but on a temporary basis, so that people will be in a position to park closer to some of the businesses that are closer to the alleyway in the area near Indy Indy Bang Bang across from Miller Pizza. So we are being very thoughtful about providing the ability to move around and travel in that area. We did the alleys first so that we would have ingress and egress out of those areas. And one of the things that we have made a commitment to do and that we are committed to doing is maintaining signage in that area and making sure that people know that businesses are going to remain open, and would just invite the public to join us in patronizing those businesses, because everyone knows that it's difficult to continue in business after the construction has begun, and so I just wanted to provide a few more details about that. Wanted to congratulate the Gary Fire Department on receiving a $3 million grant from, it is a federal grant, firefighters grant, and so we're excited about that, and just congratulate the grant team. We do have a grant team in the city that works very hard, and they do it together, so they don't get every grant, but they get a lot of grants. And so we're want to congratulate them. Want to also congratulate all who were responsible to the success of the Love Fest this Saturday and Sunday in the city. It was in Great Gateway Park largely, but it was also coupled with the historical tour that occurred throughout the downtown area, and the laying of the historical marker at City United Methodist Church on 6th and Washington. And that was done with the work of the Emerson Neighborhood Spotlight, the Gary Downtown Emerson Neighborhood Spotlight, as well as the Legacy Foundation, Faith CDC, and the historical marker, Indiana State Historical Marker Organization. And so this makes the 5th marker in the city of Gary. There will be 2 more markers that are underway. One is at Roosevelt. We'll talk a little bit about Roosevelt a little later. But I forget the location of the other. It might be Calvary Church. Calvary Lutheran Church. But, you know, that is not something to be taken lightly, and it is really a sign of significance for our community. Would also add that the public art that was done on Saturday as a part of the Love Fest was just really significant. The I Love Gary sign was great, and it was hosted by the Decay Devils, who of course have a Union Station as well, and have done amazing work there. We also had the 19th annual African American Achievers Back to School Jamboree on Saturday at IUN. The Horseman all-class reunion was both Saturday and Sunday, and I heard that the SOS band on Friday night at the Genesis Center was an amazing hit. Not just the SOS band, but the local bands that played, as well as the Saturday night event at the Genesis Center, which was a part of the Horseman Weekend, and the Sunday picnic. So all around, a great event that was held by Horseman High School, but we all know that you save the best for last. And so we've heard from all of the others. We've heard from Work and West Side and Emerson and Horseman and all the also-rans. But this weekend, Lou Wallace, we've heard from Lou Wallace, but this weekend,
Senior weekend.
in the city of Gary, from Friday to Sunday, will be the homecoming game, tailgate, and dance at the Genesis Center. And then, of course, the picnic at the parking lot on Sunday. And so, you know, just want you all to know that.
What's going on?
It's going to be Saturday, and that's Roosevelt High School.
It's senior weekend, right?
Want to also talk about the Pop on Violence and Aetna Fun Fest that both occurred on September 7th. Those were great events. The Aetna Fun Fest was done on Aetna Street. Great work by the Aetna Community Revitalization organization, and that was done in memory of Corporal Charles Turner, and the Pop on Violence run was done that same morning, and want to commend Dr. McGee. We also hosted a 9/11 commemoration and salute to public safety on last Wednesday, and on Thursday we kicked off the 5x5x5 cleanup in the 2nd District, and that started in the Brunswick area. I want to also commend the contractors on their cleanup work that is going on. There are 10 contractors that are working diligently throughout the city, and want to also talk about the upcoming on October 8th, Tuesday, October 8th, from 1 to 5 at the Art House. There will be a supply chain and diversity fair that will be co-hosted by the city, Majestic Star Casino, and Indiana American Water. We anticipate significant opportunities for local contractors with both Majestic and Indiana American Water, and we want to make sure that you know the process and what is going to occur. That next day, we will dedicate the statue of former Mayor Richard Hatcher. That will be on October 9th. It is currently slated for 2 p.m., and if that changes, we will make the public aware, but we do not anticipate a change in that regard. I want to move to the Public Works report. Some of you saw the work. In fact, I got in trouble at home because I didn't alert my husband to the closing of Grant Street before he went to work. But the good news is it's open again, it's been paved, and it is beautiful and smooth. They're going to do that on Buchanan, Harrison, Van Buren, Madison, Adams, Washington, and Massachusetts. So we are pleased that that has finally been done, and that is what is going to occur. The 2019 traffic signal replacement is underway. Each of you should have gotten a memo that outlined the traffic signals that have been identified for replacement. The Buffington Harbor Drive project is continuing, and we've moved the completion date to mid-December. Initially, we had a problem with getting CN sign-off on some track that had to be not closed, but we had to get permission to go on their property for some of the work that had to be done or has to be done. AJ advised me that That approval came through today. We also have the milling of the bridge over the toll road that has occurred. They've done one portion of the bridge. They're going to do the same on the bridge near Clay Street so that the passage on 15th Avenue east of Martin Luther King will be a much better drive. We have an anticipated completion date on the I-65 bridge for 9/20/2019, and with it being reopened to the public shortly thereafter. And Harrison Street should reopen on October 31st. We know that both NIPSCO, Indiana American Water, and Wolverine Pipeline are engaged in work that is being done in the street. And, you know, we are trying to minimize the closures that are being done as a result of that. And, you know, that's one of the reasons, quite frankly, with all of the work that Indiana American is doing, that we have made it a priority to partner with them so that we can see more local people working on those projects. That completes my report, and I'm certainly prepared to answer any questions that you have.
What council members at this time?
Mayor, Councilman, Mr. Chair, when I was en route to the meeting tonight, the Grant Street was closed when I got to 9th Avenue. Perhaps the contractors may have, they had the barrier, maybe they need to take the barrier
Okay,
down.
well, they may be finishing up. I know the paving over the railroad track has occurred, so it may be a couple of more days.
Yeah, I'll just say that because we got emergency vehicles and other people going out Grant.
Yes.
When I got there, as they come around the curve, the barrier's up, so it's kind of,
Right.
Thank you.
all right, thank you. Mayor.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Councilman Proto.
Mayor, is it any way possible that we can get some lights at the Brunswick to the Pavilion? That walkway that leads into the pavilion is so dark, and I'm thinking that, I know it's one light pole that is not working, but maybe they could attach some lights to the building that would shine directly in that area. And the
We
other
will
thing-
certainly work on that, Mr. Proto, Councilman Proto.
Okay, and the other thing is that, this is just an announcement for the Brunswick area. Someone had spread a rumor that we were going to be doing curbside cleaning. And I got that call, and I told that lady right away that was just not true. We can't afford to do it. We haven't done that in probably 45 years with the curbside cleaning. So please don't sit things out in front of your home thinking somebody's coming by to pick it up.
Is there a dumpster placed in the area?
Yeah, they have dumpsters.
Okay, all right. So we do have dumpsters in that area. So we would welcome citizens to come and utilize those dumpsters, but you're right, Councilman Proto, we don't have the manpower to do that. I did get a note, we are waiting for a quote from Midwestern for the Brunswick lights. So that is, that fix is underway.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Mayor,
Councilman Brown.
for those of us that get the trash pickup, aren't we allowed to put at least one large item out every week for them to
Every week,
dispose of?
yes.
So if someone is cleaning, it may take a little while longer, but you can put one large item out with your regular trash, not in the recycle, but the regular trash, and they're supposed to dispose of it. Every week, you can do that. One large item, whether it's a couch, something like that. I don't know about refrigerators, though. I don't think they.
There's a special process
issue on
for refrigerators
Right.
because it has to go through recycling.
Right, recycling. Recycling?
Yes.
Okay, all right. But the other part of, for those of us who can slowly start sending things out, that's there. So just wanted to make a note of it, because I've used it. I've done it myself.
Anyone else?
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Wyatt.
Madam Mayor, is there going to be any paving outside of Lake Street on the First District?
We are, that is largely dependent on whether or not the sale leaseback closes. that has been contemplated. At this point, both the paving and some of the other improvements that are sorely needed in terms of some of the park property, fencing and things like that, have been baked into the sale leaseback. And at this juncture, the Wells Fargo has been talking to Mr. Prince because of the fact that he came out against it about 2 or 3 months ago. I do know that they're talking. There has been, because of the market rate, an improvement in the interest rate, but I will tell you that I'm gravely concerned, not just about the paving, because the paving is important. I don't want to lose the matching dollars from the state, but at this juncture, we are looking at paying back TAWs of $20 million at the end of the year, and the next administration needing to come in with money to operate.
Madam Mayor, the second question I have is, there was a church group, in fact, it's my church, that did a cleanup over on Sunrise Park, which is by Woodlake Village on Warwick Street, you know, as far east as you can get. And we did that in the middle of July. I've been in contact with the park department to remove the limbs and debris that we were able to clear off the park, but I'm still getting calls from constituents that it's not been moved. I have emailed to the park superintendent as recently as last week, but I'm not getting a response. I know that park superintendent had told me initially that they were down on equipment, but I thought perhaps General Services could help.
Typically, we have a call every morning at 7:15, and in those instances where help is needed, they do coordinate that. Mm-hmm. I will tell you that Sunrise Park was cut today. We will work to schedule the removal of the limbs.
That would be great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. If our deputy chief was here today, he would say this is Edison Learning Weekend that's coming up. Not so much Roosevelt. Some of y'all will catch it on y'all way home.
See.
But I want to say happy anniversary to our deputy chief who's not here today. He's out celebrating his anniversary, but I think he would love me to relate it message to the Roosevelt. But also,
touche.
Y'all will get us back when our turn comes. Want to wish a happy birthday to a 2nd District resident, Ms. Maybelle Levette. She turned 102 today, so we want to wish her happy birthday.
Yes. Actually, Mr. President, I'm headed there when I leave here. I wasn't sure if I was going to get a chance to go before she went to bed.
Yes. All right. Yes.
Okay. The Community Health Net Centers are having a 5K walk to fight breast cancer on Saturday, September 28th, 2019. It's going to be held at Marquette Park Beach, 1 North Grand Boulevard. Registration begins at 9 a.m. The walk starts at 10 a.m. Individual walkers are $20 and groups of 10 are $150. Come in your best walking outfit. Prizes to the best dressed person and best dressed team. For more information, visit chn-indiana.org/BCA5KW or call 219-880-1190. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilman Brown.
Just want to thank the local union acronym number 3491-1 and 4009, Presidents Ariana Van Sant and Kathy Nunn we had the pleasure of Anna Van Sant. Right? Okay, that's fine. Hey, you correct me, I got it straight. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for inviting us to your meeting yesterday evening to discuss some concerns that you had. And I think they're very important, regardless to whether I get your name right. The issues are most important. No problem, we having a little fun, you know. It's senior weekend coming up. So anyway, we just want to thank the union for inviting the council members and giving us the opportunity to hear your concerns. And we have listened, and we will continue to do everything we can because we're all here to serve our community. So thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mayor.
Welcome. All right. We have one speaker for tonight. Ms. Nowacki is our speaker.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council. My name is Jim Nowacki. I live in the 2nd District. I would like to give credit where credit's due. Fortunately, not tonight. Mr. President, you know that I've been before this council many times. I've attended other meetings complaining about the shoddy workmanship of Reith Riley's paving and rebuilding 5th Avenue. You know that I've come before this council. You know that I've come before the sanitary district. You know that I've come before the NERC, complaining that the shoddy work Reith Riley performed on 5th Avenue as part of their $40 million rebuilding resulted in damage to the city's sewers. You know that later, after years and years of complaining, the state finally did step up and gave the sanitary district a $250,000 award to redo to repair the work on flooding issues on 5th Avenue from the Knights of Columbus building right to this building right here. You know that of the 5 locations that they were ordered to repair, 3 of them look like were successfully repaired. Now, 60% is not a passing grade except in Gary, Indiana, because I'll tell you, you can go right outside of this building. Just the other day, when we had a little bit of flood, all the water was there, and you could see an entire lane of traffic blocked by water. You could see the same thing at 5th Avenue and Broadway. The same flooding that I've been complaining about for now 5 years. Now, if you go out today, you can see that they've put a lot of work over there. But you can also see the huge sinkhole that's right here in the alley. Now this is after the sanitary district spent $250,000 to repair, and they got 3 out of the 5 done, and 2 of them are not repaired. So, Mr. President, credit where credit's due. Congratulations, 60% of the work was done right. But 60% is not a passing grade, except in Gary, Indiana. Mr. President, I'm going to have to continue complaining about the flooding at 5th and Broadway, and you can see it because you drive by there, and the flooding right here in front of this building, and the continuing damage. The huge, I'm talking about a sinkhole 4 feet across, 3 feet deep. Right out here, you can go and see it right now. And this is a result after the work had been done on that line. So, credit where credit's due, but no credit tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nowacki. Is our last speaker. Entertain a motion for adjournment. We now adjourn. Everyone have a good night.
Thank you.